Welcome back everybody to my Rick and Morty analysis. Today we're talking about Season 3. Check out the playlist in the description to get the full list of my analysis videos. Many people like to point at Season 3 and they like to say, this is where the show is getting worse. It's all downhill from here. And well, yes, technically it's hard to beat Season 2, but I think the reasons why people dislike Season 3 are quite nonsensical. So let's dive right in and see what makes this season so controversial. Last season Rick gave himself up to repair the lives of his family. How will he get out of this situation? His mind is being probed by some kind of alien cop in a similar way to Episode 4 with the scammers and the simulation. Again, there are aliens trying to get their hands on some Rick tech, and who could blame them? But Rick of course sees right through it and manages to hack the device. But oh no, looks like the Council of Ricks has sent in SEAL Team Ricks to assassinate Rick to protect his tech. Hey, look at me, I just said the word Rick a lot, haha. Meanwhile, Morty reveals to Summer his family that he left behind in a world that he ruined in Episode 6. The implications here are quite weird, because it seems like this isn't the first time he has visited. Maybe he has tried to get them to another reality, but maybe they were so mad at Rick and Morty that they refused. Guess they're already pretty insane at this point. Caveman Jerry smashes the portal gun and they attempt to kill Summer, but Citadel Ricks intervene and take Morty and Summer hostage. In the end, Rick destroys most of the Citadel and all of the Confederation in order to save Summer and Morty and to go back to his normal life. And to drive it all home, Rick has a fourth wall breaking rant saying his backstory was all fake, it all's fake, and the only thing he cares about is Beth and the Szechuan McNugget sauce and maybe getting Jerry divorced. Well, this episode was certainly a wild ride, and the fact that he brought it out on April 1st, months before the rest of the season, means that I guess it's less reliable than the rest of the story that they want to tell in later episodes. Did Rick troll everyone with this one? Well, that's what you get. Rick and Morty's always ready to flip the whole paradigm. This episode was a big deal at the time. The Season 2 finale made it seem like the stakes are gonna be so much higher out there, Morty. But no, Rick can just solve all his problems in one episode and then goof off for the rest of the season. And this was obviously a big disappointment for some people at the time. This episode clearly was meant to set our expectations for what can happen. No emotional arc or single enemy can keep our Rick's attention for longer than one episode. So we're gonna go back to episodic sci-fi adventures. Some people don't like that because they don't understand that this is what makes Rick and Morty great. You could tell the best story ever over 6 seasons, and fine, okay, watch Breaking Bad, I won't stop you. But with Rick and Morty we get 60 episodes that you can watch as many times as you want and almost never get tired of them. You can watch them out of order, you can see your favorite ones over and over again. You can't do that with Breaking Bad. You want to watch Breaking Bad? That'll take a month of your time. Go binge it, I guess. Rick and Morty, on the other hand, is always there for me when I want to relax for 20 minutes at a time. Except for right now, obviously, because I'm ruining it for myself by doing this analysis. But it'll all be worth it in the end when you guys finally share my appreciation for this show. Anyways, Rick Tech. Number 1. A key sequence disguised as dead flies that transform the garage to reveal all of Rick's tools. Or maybe the key is actually dead flies, you gross old man Rick. Number 2. Early prototype portal gun that can transport a ball 2 feet to the left and turn it into a pile of ash. Number 3. A hacked brain analyzer that is able to switch minds, apparently even over the phone. It's shown that he had to bring the entire device onto the stolen SEAL Rick team spaceship in order to take over the Citadel. And once he's on the Citadel, he doesn't switch minds again, so I guess the brain analyzer was blown up with the spaceship. The rules about this brain shit are pretty inconsistent here. Apparently you can swap the minds of 2 people in an instant, but it takes at least half a minute to scan someone's brain.
Now, you just make sure you can't scan an entire brain over appetizers.
But obviously you gotta scan someone's brain in order to swap it. So I guess we just gotta suspend our disbelief at this writing sometimes. Number 4. A fake 9-gauge plasma pistol to fake your own death. So that's what the standard Citadel pistols are, huh? 9-gauge plasma pistols. I guess they picked that name because it sounds like the 9mm guns, that we use. Number 5. Hacked Federation computer that can devalue their entire currency, the Blemflark. Episode 2. Summer is a total bitch, and Rick encourages her.
Can you do me a favor and turn your ringer off?
It's called Carpe Diem, Morty. Look it up.
You look it up. You don't even know what it means.
That's because losers look stuff up while the rest of us are carping all them DMs.
Listen to your sister, Morty. To live is to risk it all.
You guys probably don't pay enough attention to realize how annoying Summer is all of the time. And that must be nice for you. Alright, so Summer asks Rick to take her on a dangerous adventure. So they portal to a Mad Max version of Earth in a hurry. But then Summer goes off the rails again.
Rick, can we not leave without my sister? Ugh. You have infinite sisters, Morty. I mean, not that I want to spend the rest of my day looking for another one.
Rick was going to leave Summer to die, but Morty talked him out of it. Fuck you, Rick, after what you just went through to save her? Besides, you broke up her parents. You're the reason why she's acting like this now, and you were just gonna leave her to be slaughtered by Mad Max savages. Her blood was going to be his lotion, Rick, you sick fuck. That's pretty explicit. Oh hey, rape jokes are back. Why even be in a hurry to leave? Can't you just kill these savages? Rick still has his 9-gauge plasma pistol from the last episode, but this time it's not a decoy. They decide to live in this horrible land for a bit longer, but eventually Rick wants to return home. When the kids want to stay, he leaves them there possibly forever and makes robot versions of the kids to distract Beth. Which is inconsistent, don't you need Morty for his brainwaves? So you like Beth and you want her to stay divorced, but you don't care about her kids even though you spent most of your time with Morty. Well, the only thing that makes sense here is that Rick is a total piece of shit as usual. The kids fall in love in the wasteland, Summer with Buckethead, and Morty with his sentient enlarged murder arm. But then Rick realizes he sucks at robotics and he tries to get the real kids back. Such a hack, man. But then Rick decides to stay a bit longer with them. Make up your fucking mind, Rick, Jesus. Just long enough to troll Summer out of her relationship by showing her that no mortal man can put up with how much of a bitch she is all of the time. Beth apparently is a total idiot here who can't tell the difference between her family and a bunch of really poorly designed robots. But Jerry is the one who gets called stupid if he falls for a simulation specifically designed to scam you. So apparently the divorce is so traumatic that all the characters get to act insane for an episode. I don't really see how Rick can afford to spend so much time on this nonsense, but alright. Overall it was a fun episode if you don't care about the fact that everyone sucks. Rick Tech. Number 1. The Wind Wisp is a loser to Jerry occasionally.
Loser. What?
This is definitely Rick Tech and you can't convince me otherwise. Number 2. Some kind of improvised scanner that finds Isotope 322. Guess when he jumped into the portal in a hurry, he didn't bring his usual scanner. The new scanner kinda sucks because it's unable to find the big chunk and only found the little chunk. Oh well. Number 3. Some kind of containment tube that has anti-gravity so that the isotope won't touch the walls, since that would apparently electrify things. Number 4.
This device extracts and redistributes muscle memory. I'm giving your body a 10-year course in wasteland combat, one limb at a time. Ow! I'm working with a mixed bag here, so you may not have perfect coordination, Morty.
Number 5. This unpractical looking gun. Seems to just be a regular gun with apparently very high damage. Number 6. Rick hacked a stray dog to tear up Jerry's unemployment check. Eat shit, Rick. No, dogs don't behave like this. You can't fool me, Rick. I know you did this, Rick. Number 7. Robot versions of Summer, Morty and Rick that cry out for robot rights occasionally, just enough to suck as replacements. By the way, any of you muskrats out there who think that Elon Musk has impressive robots, why don't you look up Boston Dynamics? You guys are really worshipping mediocrity. Rick would be so ashamed of you guys. You know, Rick brings Elon Musk on his crew, but as a scam artist, not as a guy who knows how to build shit. Episode 3. Pickle Rick. Now this is an amazing episode on many levels. Rick has some crazy adventures where he's forced to make do without his tech, and then he gets a lecture from a psychologist. Win-win, baby. Those are 2 very fun things to watch. So Rick turns himself into a pickle to avoid going to therapy. But then he is stuck as a pickle because Beth calls his bluff and takes away his anti-pickle serum. Rick almost dies and has to battle for survival with a bunch of rats and a shady group that works for a dictatorial foreign government. But important here is to note that Rick does all this just because he doesn't want to go to therapy. You might think therapy is not a place for smart people, if you're an idiot. But I think the actual reason why he does this is because he wouldn't want the therapist to figure out that he broke up Beth and Sherry on purpose. Of course, in his dumb genius plan, he didn't consider that they'd be talking about him the entire time because he turned himself into a pickle to avoid therapy. And Dr. Wong suggests that Rick may have eroded her marriage anyways.
Pickle Man, it's too late for me to tell my daughter I love her. But not for you.
Oh, well, no, she knows. I mean, we don't really buy into that kind of crap. To the extent that love is an expression of familiarity over time, my access to infinite timelines precludes the necessity of attachment. In fact, I even abandoned one of my infinite daughters in an alternate version of Earth that was taken over by mutants.
Okay.
Ah yes, Rick is always ready to remind us of how much he sucks. Just as the therapist calls out the family for wasting time and dodging all the real issues, Rick finally arrives at the therapy. Dr. Wong spits some high-quality wisdom at Rick, who is left speechless.
I have no doubt that you would be bored senseless by therapy, the same way I'm bored when I brush my teeth and wipe my ass. Because the thing about repairing, maintaining, and cleaning is, it's not an adventure. There's no way to do it so wrong you might die. It's just work. And the bottom line is, some people are okay going to work, and some people would rather die. Each of us gets to choose. That's our time.
Will he take her advice and take care of his mental health occasionally, or will he continue turning himself into a pickle and rolling around in the sewer? Probably not, since Rick makes a point that adventures are better than therapy, as he gets saved by Machete, who was one of the guest stars. That's pretty badass.
Make peace with your god.
Jeez, Rick, I don't want to die.
And now, for the E-Splat!
Jaguar!
Who was that, Rick?
That, Morty, is why you don't go to therapy.
But luckily they do go back to Dr. Wong's practice in later seasons. Presumably Beth has finally got some leverage over Rick and makes him come because of all the nonsense he did in the finale of this season that we're gonna get to. I really hate the fact that people think the Pickle Rick episode is where the show becomes nonsense. The family dynamics on display are so interesting and humanizing in relation to how ridiculous Rick behaves in this episode. I just love how Rick turns himself into a pickle and expects people to be impressed, but they all know that it's therapy time. Morty is not impressed. He knows that it is not time for crazy adventures. Now is the time to deal with the divorce drama, so that we don't get another Mad Max episode. Beth equally doesn't take this shit from Rick right now. She takes away the serum, even though she knows it's not good for Rick. Rick could tell her, he could admit, I lied, but no, he prefers the danger that comes with being a pickle with no arms and legs, exposed to the elements. He really didn't build in a failsafe because he was so sure that he was about to outsmart the entire family. Beth is still in denial that Rick lied to her, and the therapy really helps her make progress towards a more healthy dynamic. Rick always fetishizes intelligence so much that he got himself into this ridiculous situation all by himself, but then he still uses his intelligence to escape it, even though cockroaches don't actually have brains that large, so I think your plan probably wouldn't have worked. Smartest cockroach in the world, baby! Honestly, there is so much interesting stuff going on in this episode, and the fact that it is combined with the hilarious and disgusting adventures of the Pickle Man makes it one of the best episodes in the entire show. It is truly sad that people didn't have the IQ required to enjoy this exquisite serving of relationship drama and dismiss it as the silly pickle episode. Anyways, Rick Tech! Number 1, Pickle Rick. Funniest shit ever seen. But also, like, the technical achievement of becoming a pickle is the number 1 technology that we see in this episode. Number 2, anti-pickle serum. Comes with a contraption that will administer the serum by dropping it on Pickle Rick. Number 3, primitive mobility suit made from cockroaches. Number 4. Powerful mobility suit made from rats that has a jetpack and can shoot screws and knives. Number 5. A battery-powered laser with incredible power. By the way, it's funny that this guy says the pickle is attacking them because he didn't eat half his sandwich, and then later Rick uses the half-eaten sandwich to mend his wounds. Guess the tale of the pickle man was real all along. Number 6. Several bombs and fuses. One of which gets sent over the email. Anyways, let's look at this Pickle Rick transformation a few more times so you can appreciate the animation that goes into this show. Oh yeah, I love this Rick moan. I got the weirdest boner right now, and it's a pickle. Alright, once more in slow motion. Oh. Episode 4. Rick is summoned to help the Vindicators defeat World Ender. A parody of the Avengers that apparently always existed just off screen in Rick and Morty, and they even worked with them in the past. But Rick is still not dealing with anything in a healthy way, so he gets blackout drunk and puts the Vindicators in a Saw-like death trap. Rick thinks good and evil are artificial constructs? You idiot, you've beaten up the devil.
Hey, Morty, let me ask you a question real quick. Does evil exist? And if so, can one detect and measure it? Rhetorical question, Morty. The answer is yes, you just have to be a genius.
Real nice going, Rick. Morty finally forces you to try and act morally good for once, and you ruin it all. These heroes are really cool too. I would sincerely prefer this over Justice League if it was a movie franchise. Leave it up to Rick to not enjoy the delightful Crockeybot or the man made of a million ants. And what's even worse is that the creators of the show have no respect for these great characters either, as is evident in the Vindicators series on YouTube. Everyone is an asshole, everyone is committing genocide and punching down to Noob Noob, who by the way is now a pedophile.
My teacher says it's easier to listen when you're not talking.
You're still in school.
Uh-huh.
You, graduating soon?
Oh, not for a gajillion years.
What are you studying?
Colors and shapes.
Huh. How old are you?
How old are you?
You first. Okay, but how young is... How young is that?
Who the fuck thought this was a worthwhile addition to canon? The point here is that Rick is an asshole and he couldn't take self-reflection and therapy, so he chose to ruin a good thing instead. But no, guess it's alright now. I guess they were murderers and pedophiles all along.
Titivine, listen to me. When you came to me, I was merely a sentient colony of ants. It was your beliefs, your pursuit of justice that taught me to be a man.
This is what Ants thinks of Supernova, but in the Vindicators series, Ants knows what a monstrous female asshole Supernova is all along, so nothing makes sense anymore, and Doom Nomitron is supposed to be a shapeshifter, not a space whale. Pretty shameful that they made a 20-minute YouTube series just to shit on these heroes' graves some more. Even Supernova, who lectures Rick about committing evil while blackout drunk, apparently killed 3 female heroes of color while blackout drunk. Honestly, fuck this shit. Vindicator spin-off could have been amazing, but this is just stupid. It's all dumb jokes and it undermines the canon, and it doesn't make any sense. Anyways, in the actual episode, Rick is jealous of the fact that Morty likes the Vindicators more than him, and so he aims to destroy them, which is pretty pathetic. You just left him in a Mad Max world to fend for himself for a few weeks, Rick. How does Morty even have any respect for you at all at this point? He thinks it's desirable to be morally neutral, like Aberdorf Linkler. Does that mean it's okay to kill Thanos and then trap the Avengers in a saw trap where they will die? You gotta make sure to do exactly as much good as you do evil. This limp dick excuse for a morality system is sadly a reoccurring theme in the show. It obviously doesn't work. You're not a D&D character. Carbon offset doesn't work. You can't just pay for other people to not pollute the planet. You can't just do whatever you want. It's not okay just because some of the people that you brutally murder happen to be bad guys. There is no such thing as a morally neutral person. An asteroid hurling towards the Earth is morally neutral. But when the asteroid is aware of its actions and chooses to destroy the Earth anyways, that's evil. No matter how you rationalize it, you can't just indiscriminately slaughter people just because some of them might be evil. The show seems to think that the Vindicators are just as bad as Rick, but that's ridiculous. The Vindicators have much less power than him and they go up against much larger threats, in a selfless way. In the Vindicators series, they choose to not save Earth, which is dumb and not in their character from what the episode tells us. They show us a few things that the Vindicators do wrong. Vince panics and he dies stupidly, not his fault. 1 million ants kills train guy. Okay, that's not good, but they were fighting over a girl, and that's still better than Avengers Civil War. Fight me. Then Supernova tries to kill Rick and Morty, which is justified because they've just shown how incredibly evil they are. And then Supernova kills 1 million ants who was trying to save Rick and Morty, which is the biggest anime betrayal of all time. Okay, that's pretty evil. But I still blame Rick, okay? Because he pushed them into this horrible situation. Supernova was so willing to save the universe from Rick and Morty that she was willing to kill her own lover. I like that. None of these characters are as pathetic as Rick attempting to murder an entire team of superheroes just out of jealousy. And the fact that he did it while blackout drunk doesn't make it any better, okay? He didn't save them when he noticed the situation when he wasn't drunk. Anyways, Rick Tech. Number 1. A suction gun to suck in species-sterilizing space worms. Also, they have one eye, so they're dick worms that destroy dicks. Number 2. Some kind of living hangover cure. Number 3. Some kind of nanofactory that turns bullets into little robots that sabotage this gun turret. Number 4. Some screens and blast doors and booby traps in service of preventing the Vindicators from leaving. Number 5.
My epidermis is laced with a nanofiber defense mesh.
Number 6. A matching minigame that opens the door to the next room. Number 7. A map puzzle that will crush you if you don't select Israel. Number 8. A basketball challenge with a neutrino bomb. By the way, there is a neutrino bomb in the background on this screen, so he clearly made a new one just for this, and he didn't use the one that was the back seat of his car. Number 9. The final trap will kill anyone who is taller than Morty, but is designed to take Noop Noop on a cute little ride. The joke here is that Rick values Noop Noop, a stranger, more than Morty, but I think in his drunken madness he kinda conflates Noop Noop and Morty, so I think it's still kinda nice, except for all the evil stuff from before. Oh well, I guess Rick never actually learned that he did all this for Noop Noop. Silly Rick. In the end, Rick throws a party for when the Vindicators are done with the saw trap. Weird, considering that Rick wouldn't have even been at the party, but whatever. Also, the Vindicators would have probably died because they didn't even bring Noop Noop. So they would have all just died from that final trap. Hell of a party, Rick. I guess you killed the guests of honor. What? Episode 5. Morty talked Rick into taking Jerry on an adventure. The first Rick and Jerry episode, and those are always good. Honestly, it's crazy that these two magnificent characters aren't getting more time together. They have such great chemistry here. Rick takes Jerry to a cool place with an immortality field. Guess it's funny that we would have never seen a place like this if it weren't for the fact that Jerry is weak and easily killed. But oh no, looks like Rick already pissed off enough people working at this place that they are plotting to kill him. And they got a way to circumvent the immortality field. Will Jerry help them defeat Rick? By the way, if you look at this shot of the Whirly, you can see how huge the resort is. All the buildings in the back are inside the immortality field. That's pretty cool. Meanwhile, Summer destroys the garage by wanting to get big boobs. Who even wants them that big? Disgusting. Jerry tries to kill Rick and then tries to save him, and then Rick captures an animal that slaps its cock and balls into Jerry's face. All good stuff. In the end, Jerry does save Rick again and their bond is deepened, but sadly Rick still treats him like shit as usual. Meanwhile, Morty tortures Ethan, Summer's boyfriend, who I guess is still alive, but if any part of Anatomy Park were still alive in him, now they are surely fucked.
Ooh, looks like a 422.
In the end, Rick and Jerry shake hands on an adventure well had. Then Jerry realizes he doesn't have his bus pass because Rick kidnapped him without his pants on. But Rick shuts the door in his face and points a gun at him.
Stay strong, Jerry. I believe in you. Just stay in the driveway. The killbot's alive and I took you off the white list.
Eat shit, Rick. And by the way, I think it's great he's using the bus, okay? I really think that buses should be destigmatized. They're not for losers, okay? even if Cherry uses them here. Rick Tech. There is a growth ray in Rick's garage, but since it has aliens inside it doing a shitty job at tech support, he probably didn't make it himself. Number 1. Morty has a phone where he can call Rick even if he is in space, I assume, so that's nice. No longer a big brick phone in the couch cushions. Number 2. Some kind of grenade that he has in his coat. Number 3. A hastily thrown together trap to attack a Smooglag runner. Number 4. Some sort of dart gun made from alien plant parts. Why did it need a scope, Rick? Cherry isn't that far away. Number 5. A device that can control animals to Rick's will. Another reason why I thought the dog from earlier was also Rick's invention. Number 6. Airport security reveals that Rick has cybernetically enhanced his heart, eyeball, brain, arms and legs. His arms apparently can become a crazy gun, but he shoots the guy with his own gun, probably to confuse the cops. And if you've enhanced your eyeball, then why did you need that scope on that dart gun? I will not let that go, Rick. Number 7 is a maybe. Risotto says his kingdom was usurped using Rick's weapons and technology, so it's possible that Rick also supplied the immortality field that powers the resort. Or maybe these people already had immortality fields and used them in war, but once they were defeated they were forced to use their technology to power the resort. So I don't know which one of those are Rick's or which aren't, but that's just a theory. A squid theory. Episode number 6. Rick stops Morty from hitting on Jessica by dragging him along on an incredibly dangerous adventure. But I guess Morty was about to embarrass himself anyway, so it's all fine. The adventure turns out to be a disaster that they just barely survive, but at least they saved untold lives. Guess Rick does good sometimes after all. Too bad it was only in service of setting up the real adventure, which is a vacation. When they go to the spa, they try out this experimental detox machine that really splits them into 2 equally insane parts. The toxic versions of the two try to escape containment and plan to take revenge. Meanwhile, the detoxed Morty is a real Chad dickhead who takes Jessica out for dinner and breaks Rick's phone. Good thing Jessica doesn't like this toxic positivity version of Morty, so I guess there is hope for the two after all. But Chad Morty immediately hooks up with another girl, and then the toxic guys come in and crash the party and a fight breaks out. Some pretty cool sci-fi stuff is going on here, but even more interesting is what each character considers toxic. The toxic version of Rick has almost no emotion that the original Rick has. All the lust, rage, sadism, feelings for Morty and Beth, they have all been contained in the toxic version. Meanwhile, the toxic version of Morty is really insecure, so without this insecurity Morty is able to self-improve really quickly and con people into giving him all his money and affection. The so-called ideal version of Rick is so far up his own butt that he isn't even willing to save the world from toxic Rick. It's basically his version of trying to be a god, but everyone else gets to have free will to be as bad as they want, without Rick stopping them. Kinda similar to those idiot dinosaurs from the Season 6 episode. I sure hope Rick learned something from them. Worst of all, this shitty version of Rick doesn't even care if Morty lives or dies. Wow, Rick, you even consider your love for Morty to be a toxic weakness. You piece of shit. No wonder healthy Morty wants to run away. Yet another episode that tackles Rick's lack of mental health, and once again he doesn't learn a goddamn thing. Who knows how many people died during this episode? Kids killing adults, people who were eating junk food went into the dumpster and ate literal garbage? Well, they're probably gonna die. If Rick doesn't do some kind of quick fix for all this shit that just happened, he really should be punished. Call the president, this man needs to be stopped. This was definitely an amazing episode, nice insight into our characters, much better than that stupid battery episode. This is a far superior green Rick we got here. I should really find an uncensored version of this episode. There's so much of Rick's cock and ball swinging around, and I'm really missing out. Even the toxic version. Now that's what I call a pickled Rick. Rick Tech. Number 1. Rick hastily cobbles together some kind of Death Star / space whale killing super laser. Number 2. The toxic equivalent of electricity. Number 3. Toxic Rick has built some kind of version of the phone that can call real Rick even though it is inside the toxic containment field. Number 4. Rick has built some kind of retoxifier that can combine both of the halves. Then the booger version of Rick hacked it to trap the real Rick in a toxic containment zone instead. Rick then makes a mobile version of this that he can use on the go. Number 5. Groin System 3000, a cannon that comes out of his belts and takes action after Rick has been kicked in the groin. It's pretty useless because Toxic Rick can easily confuse it with some dumb chat talk. And also, wouldn't you want it to stop you from getting kicked in the groin in the first place? Unless Rick secretly likes to be kicked in the groin. Makes you think. Number 6, some kind of Pokeball that is hidden inside a fake cactus. Number 7, some kind of shitty DNA gun that makes a clone of you grow out of whatever you shoot with it. Why would you make this, Rick? A normal gun would have worked just as well. Also, it was hidden inside a safe that requires a handprint. He apparently liked this shitty gun so much that he made 2 of them and they both use one of them. Number 8. Toxic Rick used one of those old moon towers to turn the entire world toxic. Detoxed Rick and Morty are not affected by this process. Is this because they are already detoxed, or is it because Rick has made some kind of tech to resist it? Who knows? Number 9. Jetpacks for Rick and Morty. Number 10. A gene virus shot from a regular gun that Rick can use to take Morty hostage. So that's why he still uses regular guns sometimes. He can put literally anything into one of those bullets. 11. Then he uses some sort of syringe gun to take a sample of Toxic Morty, who then I guess died in agony. Could have just frozen him. Number 12. Rick made some kind of silly Voltron drones. So I guess Voltron exists in this reality, even though we also have the legally safe knockoff version called Gotron that he uses later. Episode 7. Rick goes to Atlantis to fuck some mermaids off screen, much to the dismay of Mr. Nimbus. In the meantime, we follow a few Rick and Mortys from the Citadel on their much more interesting adventures. Dirty Cop Morty is one of my favorites. Too bad he doesn't survive. I could watch a whole show about this kind of shit. Dirty Cop Morty, the hero the Citadel deserves. Can his unexperienced partner save him from his corrupt ways? Well, I guess not, since he shot him. Even Morty becomes president by making one single compelling speech, whenever he's not busy being a complete idiot.
I'd rather live in hope than fear. If I had to fear anything, I'd fear other people's being afraid of fear itself. But no, I'm not afraid.
By winning the election, he becomes the most powerful person in the multiverse, but his policies seem to be quite fascist, as he weaponizes alienated Mortys against land-owning Ricks. I guess he killed all those Ricks in episode 9 just so that the Citadel would be flooded with Mortys that he could manipulate. The Citadel is the most interesting place in the show. Sure hope that nothing bad happens to it, again. Citadel episodes consistently do better with the audiences than other episodes, so it would be really bad if they would stop making them for some bizarre reason. No Rick tech to report this time, since I'm only counting our Rick's technologies. Only one thing, at the start of the episode he has scuba gear, which he probably made himself. I don't know why he didn't just invent a way for him to breathe underwater, but there it is. It's worth mentioning that the Ricks on the Citadels haven't bothered becoming fully cyborg Inspector Gadgets like our Rick. So our Rick is likely a lot more powerful than the Ricks there. You might think they may have outlawed cyborg parts or something, but no, they allow our Rick to go there whenever he pleases, and the news shows that the Ricks talk about cyborg parts on the morning news, suggesting that it's possible for these Ricks to have this kind of stuff, but fairly rare. So did our Rick achieve way more power because he didn't bother socializing on the Citadel and getting bogged down in politics there? Or is it all just because he has some stupid tragic backstory that made him want to be the most powerful Rick of them all? This episode is undoubtedly the best episode of the entire show, and the other episodes of the seasons were stellar too, so I think Season 3 is on its way to surpass Season 2, if it has a good finale. Anyways, hooray for Citadel episodes. Episode 8. Morty is traumatized by learning the truth of the universe, which is pretty weak in my opinion. That's like how Greta Thunberg got clinically depressed by learning about climate change.
How dare you!
Come on, just because billions of people will die because Americans are too stupid to use public transport doesn't really change anything about your life in particular. You'll still be fine in Europe, jeez. I like to think I would enjoy learning the truths of the universe and not get depressed. But Morty asks Rick to erase his memory. And then it is revealed that Rick routinely steals Morty's memories to keep him his subservient little butt buddy. As a result, we see some random stories from Rick and Morty that Rick has erased. This is really awesome and way more interesting than Interdimensional Cable. I sure hope they do another Mind Blowers episode or something. Well, who knows, maybe not. Maybe it's impossible. Also, Morty dropped the truth tortoise into the void. So too bad, I guess. Now Rick has to find another way to become all-knowing. That turtle didn't work anyways. All it did was give Morty depression, but did not help him know anything. Like, he still acted surprised when Rick showed him the room full of mind blowers. Did the tortoise not know about that one? Maybe Rick has found a way to hide even from the truth tortoise. In the first story, Morty sees a man on the moon, but that was apparently not true and his suspicions lead to a man's suicide. But what's interesting is that in the Mind Blower, we see that the man was on the moon and winking at Morty. This of course doesn't prove that the man on the moon was real, but that Rick has edited the memory in a way to not spoil the ending, where it is revealed that it was just a smudge on the lens and not a man on the moon. Either that, or memory is just unreliable and Morty really remembered it that way. Anyways, I'm surprised that Morty has a regular old telescope and not some kind of crazy Rick tech where he can zoom in really close just to make sure. Anyways, the idea that Rick erases Morty's mind in order to control the person that he is was pretty shocking to me at the time. It's probably one of the most invasive and horrible things that he has done to Morty until the quick load device from season 4. I guess it's easy to overlook how much of a complete monster Rick is all the time, but during this analysis I'm sure I've pointed out many equally bad examples that are easily overlooked because they aren't essential to the episode. Like, for example, in the season 1 finale, Rick sent Morty out on the alien planet full of testicle monsters that were very likely to kill him just to fetch drugs for him. And that was right after an episode where Morty saved Rick's life. As the episode progresses, they accidentally erase each other's mind completely, and Summer has to save them. Guess she isn't entirely useless all of the damn time. Ricktech! Number 1, a mind erasing device. This isn't mentioned in the show, but Rick also erases the memory of how the memory was bothering you in the first place, so you asked for it to be erased. So potentially it erases quite a lot of your life. But since Ricktech is usually pretty childproof, I think that it repairs the memory in a non-evasive way, so that Morty still remembers going to school, but he doesn't remember when he went to the principal's office to falsely accuse the teacher of being a pedophile. And he doesn't remember being depressed over having caused a man's life to end, but he probably still remembers what else he did that day. Number 2, memory replay device that uses liquid data storage, because everyone knows that storing data in liquids is the most metal way of doing it.
Play that back for me, Pickles.
Listen to you. You just simply can't get that candy clear, including tonight.
It's actually clearer than when he did it.
I'm actually surprised that Rick still has to enter his lab by the trapdoor each time. You'd think he could have easily created some kind of stairs that fall into themselves or something. Number 3, improvised communication device built from fake TV that allows Rick to call back to Earth and trick people into building a spaceship for him to escape on while leaving them trapped as exhibits in some kind of alien zoo. Number 4.
Here, Morty, this'll make your urine drinkable. Now can we keep shopping?
Why, Morty? It's unclear how it works. Doesn't seem like it would fit into your pants, so you'd still have to pull out your dick in a public space. So what's the purpose of this device? Number 5. In this clip, Rick has some really weird gun that shoots some kind of explosive facehugger. That doesn't seem to be very practical if it's just going to explode right away anyways. But who knows, maybe it crawls towards your face if he misses. You never know. Number 6. Rick uses his watch to check what planet he's on. I guess it's pretty much the same watch every time now. Number 7. Several devices that allow Rick to create a really flat surface. Number 8. Optical inductors that Rick wants to prime, while Morty accidentally kills a room full of people by flipping a switch on the wall. Number 9. A glowing lock that unlocks a room full of people hooked up to futuristic machines, many of which have gamer lights. Number 10. An everything magnet that attracts all objects of a specific tie, be it zip ties or red-headed human women. Not sure why you'd want Morty to have that one erased. Sounds like a dream come true. Number 11. A Dr. Dolittle device that allows Morty to hear animals talk and accidentally anger the squirrels that form this world's shadow government. Okay, this one is super on you, Rick. He was obviously going to use that device to listen to squirrels. You should have known that the squirrels were gonna react this way. Stupid Rick. So Morty clearly didn't ask to have that one erased, because it's Rick's fault. Number 12. A device that paralyzes all creatures with murderous intent. Perfect for a group of small enemies, like squirrels. Number 13. A device that turns Morty into a fat squid. Wow, Morty, how could you not appreciate being turned into a squid? That's so squid-phobic of you, Morty. Number 14. Rick has turned Morty in some kind of marionette and juggles him. And one time he's turned him into a ghost, and another time into Mr. Snuffles, for this clip that only shows up for 1 second. I wonder if Rick has used the same device as when he turned him into a squid. Can it turn you into anything? I guess that would explain Lizard Morty and Hammer Morty on the Citadel. Maybe they were only temporarily turned into something, but then the Rick was killed by evil Morty, so now they were permanently that. Number 15. Rick has some kind of Ghostbusters device to capture Ghost Morty in this one. Wow, a lot is going on in that 1 second montage. Number 16. Some kind of emergency kit for someone to shoot them with a tranq dart gun and backups of most of their minds. I assume the mind blowers create some kind of backup of their brain every time they enter. Number 17. Rick has some kind of special mind blower device for Jerry where he can view his mind blowers, just to keep Jerry out of the mind blowers room, I assume. At least it's nice of him to erase Jerry's traumatic memories as well. Episode 9.
Wow, he's really getting executed after all this time. You know the son that he ate was
your best friend Tommy. We know. Stop true crime bragging.
I was traumatized, Summer.
God, Summer, the episode just started and you're already worse than the cannibal serial killer on TV. I wonder if he got a lot of groupies in jail. Well, at least we know that Rick is depriving Summer of air for several minutes when he's transporting her to Jerry. Serves her right. Rick and Beth visit Fruppyland, the place where she could play anytime she wanted as a kid. This interacts very poorly with the stupid Season 5 reveal that Rick isn't Beth's real dad, since he supposedly made her all these toys and gets personally offended when she doesn't like them. Who built these toys for her, Rick? Was it wife-killing Rick who came home from a long day of killing alternate Rick's wives to build toys for his daughter? Bullshit! Here, kid, have this beautiful world to play in, while I just killed in 3 versions of your mother and you in alternate realities for no goddamn reason. I'm wife-killing, Rick. I'm such a great addition to canon. Meanwhile, Jerry has a cool new girlfriend, but the kids think that he's moving too fast. Too bad that this is Season 3 Jerry, cause Season 1 Jerry would have loved to live a life constantly hunting aliens with a hot wife that gives him telekinesis. While Jerry discovers his racism towards his newlywed wife, we found out what happened to the missing kid. It's pretty interesting to see how a kid would have grown up without parental supervision. Of course, there's no society to shame him for his natural instincts of rape and cannibalism, so he is worshipped as King Cannibal. Rick shows that he's a terrible dad and a bored asshole by trying to break off the adventure, so Beth has to go and defeat King Cannibal and save the day all by herself. Jesus, Rick, how can you blame your 8-year-old daughter for abandoning Tommy? That's just bad parenting. Basically anything a kid does is a parent's fault at this age. You're supposed to supervise them 24/7. You don't just send them into the forest and see who survives. Rick thinks that he's a bad father, but you aren't getting off that easy, Rick. You're a bad father to Morty after you had 40 years to improve. The parenting that Beth must have received is worse than Hitler, okay? You don't even have the grasp of the fundamentals of parenting. Number 1 is ensuring your child's safety. You gave her weapons. That's negative 10 points at that very first step of parenting. You're not a bad parent, you're actively harmful, and it's a surprise she survived at all. If you're a bad parent, then someone who walks in and destroys a house is a bad construction worker. Meanwhile, Jerry gets some terrible advice from the kids. Just because he can't hunt 24/7 like his new wife would like, doesn't mean that he needs to break it off with her. Couldn't he just tell her that he isn't willing to hunt that much? They could have made it work. Hunting is part of our culture. So are the kids saying that you can't get together because of cultural differences? That's so stupid. They clearly liked each other enough to get soul bonded in the first place. Also, it's mentioned that Jerry has a Facebook account where he posts about things in the show, but this account hasn't been created in real life. I sure hope someone was fired for that blunder. I would have loved to see Jerry's weird rant on why Beth dumped him. I guess the writers of the show just aren't willing to admit that Jerry had a point, and we could have pressed that like button. Beth has to kill Tommy because she's unwilling to apologize. And there we have it. Everyone sucks and it's Rick's influence on them that's to blame. I guess it'll take them 9 seasons for everyone to stop sucking. So they clone a new Tommy in order to save the falsely accused father from execution. Then Rick offers to clone Beth in order to allow her to be a full-time space-traveling asshole just like her father, while the clone of her continues her life with her family. It's revealed that Rick has saved Jerry off-screen from an alien-scorned lover. At least you did one good thing today, Rick. Rick Tech. Number 1. The Bubble Gun. A weapon that can transport the kids to Jerry inside a seemingly safe bubble without any way to give them oxygen. I really wish that Rick could use this technology more. How cool must it be to be able to put things into an instant bubble? Number 2. A crayon that creates a doorway to Fruipyland, made from a collapsed quantum tesseract, whatever that may be. Number 3. A Fruipyland. Wow, this is a pretty cool place. Look how far it goes into the background. Guess it's like a whole world. Number 4. An attachment emergency robot arm that also cauterizes your wound. I assume it would also turn into any other missing limbs that you might have, not just an arm. The arm also turns into a gun and lets you telekinetically analyze the DNA of whatever you just killed. Number 5. A bunch of unnecessary dumb toys for Beth that would allow her to do all kinds of crimes, further cementing Rick as the worst father ever. Number 6. Some kind of special guitar that can record whatever Rick plays and turn it into a fully realized outro song. Number 7. Several tools that allow Rick and Beth to grow a finger into a baby and then a fully grown adult. It's unclear how intelligent this adult is. Maybe he still has the mind of a baby. Who knows? Episode 10. Rick is called in by the President in order to kill an alien Gagu, which can apparently take several shots of the 9-gauge plasma pistol. Don't know why Rick didn't bring a more efficient gun. Morty was using Rick's scanning device in order to track the alien. Anyways, Rick and Morty decided they are too lazy to kill that alien that is nested in the White House, even though Rick could have easily killed it in no time. I guess the larger point is that they both don't like doing little missions like this for the President. Throughout the episode, their continuing bickering with the President is portrayed in a similar way to a romantic relationship where they go through a breakup. Look how pleased Rick is when Morty tells the President to suck it. Well, they try to make up for previous disrespects by brokering a peace in the Middle East. While Beth is questioning her life and her entire existence as a whole, Rick sneaks into the Oval Office to force the President into taking a selfie with Morty. I guess Rick and Morty must be the woman in this relationship since they are willing to go through a disastrous breakup because Curtis didn't want to take a selfie. Women, am I right? In the end, Rick destroys the White House and his neglectful ways make Beth run back to Jerry. Rick wants to leave this reality behind, but Morty refuses to leave his family, so I guess the only time Morty does something right is in service of the family. And in the end, even Beth defends Jerry to Rick for one scene. I guess the family is really coming together. Look at this last scene before the credits. Rick is just quietly mauling at the consequences of his actions. Got nothing smart to say now, do you, science man? Originally I thought that this finale was underwhelming, but it was actually way more important to the show that the family stops taking infinite amounts of Rick's shit than that Rick gets to have his big showdown with evil Morty. I guess the final boss of Rick and Morty is standing up to Rick's abuse. Anyways, Rick Tech. Morty's phone apparently has a backdoor where the president can show this little message, which is weird because I am pretty sure that Morty's phone is Rick tech. I guess it's just a modified Earth phone. Number 1. Fairly advanced Minecraft VR set. I bet Microsoft will buy these for a few $1 billion. Then Rick uses his cyborg parts to easily get out of the handcuffs and shrink down, both unseen, so not much to talk about here. Number 2. Some kind of crazy mind-altering drugs smoked through a laser pipe that helped broker peace in the Middle East. Or maybe they already had those drugs at the Star Wars cantina in the first place. Number 3. A shirt for the president that grows when his shrinking pills wear off, but no pants so that he can swing his dick around. Number 4. Instant death for when this soldier touches Rick. Number 5. A bullet reflecting force field. Number 6. Possibly a way to fuck this guy's mom and telling him where she lives, while holding that White House hostage. Number 7. A laser whip which could have surely easily killed that sex tunnel gago. Number 8. A fighting staff, which seems kind of underwhelming. Number 9. Candies that turn haunted children against each other. Number 10. Holographic Ricks. Number 11. Hamster ball shield. Alright, that was season 3. This video is a little longer because I really took my time and talked about each episode a bit longer. Also, Rick keeps making more crazy technologies each episode. The list just keeps getting longer, but I like how I can use the tech to further talk about the story of the episode. I think that season 2 and season 3 were both equally good. Season 3 had 2 really good Citadel episodes, and it was fine that the finale wasn't Evil Morty, because they delivered on that in season 5, and it was very satisfying. So what happens in season 4? Anything important? I don't even know right now. My head is so filled with season 3. Season 6 took a little break and should be back tomorrow. Oh my god, hype! I can't wait! I timed this video to come out just in time to remind you to continue watching season 6. Which has had 6 amazing episodes so far. Why did they take a break? Are they going to do 4 consecutive story episodes? God, I'm so hyped. There's an episode called Analyze Piss. Who needs a truth tortoise when you can learn the secrets of piss? Well, I hope you all enjoyed my season 3 video. Hopefully I'll get the season 4 video out in about 2 months or so. I gotta take some time and do some other videos first, so it won't be the very next video coming to this channel. Stay hyped for more Rick and Morty. I got at least 3 more big season analysis videos coming. So it should be pretty clear from my analysis that I think that all the people who say that season 3 is where Rick and Morty goes downhill are insanely stupid, and they just don't understand the subtle beauty of these episodes. And the not so subtle beauty should be pretty clear to them too. I don't know how they can talk about it going downhill when we had so many good episodes. But we'll see. Will the decline start at season 4? It might have. My mind is literally blank right now when thinking of season 4, but I'm sure it'll all come flooding back when I actually get to watching it. Alright, subscribe for more everyone. Wobble-lubba-dub-dub. Goodbye.